Never was, always will be. Pretty catchy tune. You hear a lot of those emotional statements these days, don't you? Words, you know, that pull at the heartstrings. Well, yeah, it's being used probably way too much, but nevertheless, walking out here on a country road, having a look at the bush, waiting for the cars to go past, which are behind me. You can't help but think, never was, you know, never was anything other than the country. These days we've got these huge renewable infrastructure. I don't know, sites, solar farms, wind farms, you name it, hydro pumps in pristine areas. And it's really quite scary. I mean, you're an environmentalist or an atmospheric. You know, do you really value the environment if you think it's okay to take up hundreds of acres of land with wind turbines and solar farms? Maybe there's a place for some of it. I recently did a trip around New South Wales, and you will see next my discoveries at a place called Wellington in New South Wales, just one of the places. Yeah, this is a solar farm, huge solar farm where sheep used to roam. But, you know, the huge amount of dollars being offered up, probably, to transfer out of the hardship of being a farmer to getting a bit of a sugar fix with the solar farms, wind turbines and hydro pumps, isn't a bad reward, because it's taxpayers' money, it's your and my money, and it's what you can go to sleep of a night feeling you're happy to do. Of course, that doesn't, you know, include the whole story, you know, like the overhead wires and towers that move all this intermittent renewable energy from the country areas where you and I live to the city where the majority live. So they don't, I mean, they just switch on a switch, don't they? Or the pool pump, or whatever it may be, and they can go and have their lattes and say, well, yeah, we're doing our bit for the environment because we've got renewables. Well, no, they're not. We are. Rural areas are. We don't have the numbers, we don't have the money, and we're being screwed over. Look at this. Solar panels as far as the eye can see. Once prime grazing land, now a supply of power for the cities. Thank you. What people tend to forget too is that I think it's sort of like half of the Amazon forest is now not what it was 30 years ago. And it was always known, when I was growing up anyway, as being the lungs of the world. It sapped up all the carbon emissions, or it thrived on carbon, but you know, that's old school now. Don't mention trees. We're going to have these obnoxious, rotten towers, and I mean, the southern slopes of New South Wales is nothing but wind turbines and wires, you know, around Yass and you know, west of Canberra sort of thing. It used to be really lovely country, but now it's just ugly. It's but you know, is it technology? I don't know. That I think we've closed our minds to the possibilities. I love technology, and I reckon there's a kid in year 10 right now that's probably going, I think I know the answer to some of this, and it isn't all solar panels and fucking wind farms, you know. The costs. We've got a local project here called the Oven Mountain Hydro Pump, and they've tried to tuck it away in between Armidale and Kempsey in the Georges Junction area. You know, so-called feasibility studies are taking place. It's going to go ahead because there's a lot of other things at stake too, like, you know, a bribe to probably to fix Armidale Road, so that becomes a major road between Kempsey and Armidale. They'll probably get an education program going in Kempsey so that they can be seen to do the right things and getting young people educated in how great renewable energy is. Well, that's fine, but that Oven Mountain area will never come back. 44 Aboriginal sites there. Somehow, always was, always will be, somehow there's been nothing said about that. They're going to be destroyed or partially destroyed. Yet it's going through. Anyway, that's the story of renewables. The horror story, though, is all that money is going offshore. All that money is going to China for solar panels. And good luck to them, they make the bloody things. We've sent all of our stuff offshore for them to do. But I just wanted to show you some nice country behind me here. I tell you what, that'll look fantastic with rows and rows of solar panels, wouldn't it? Anyway, yeah. So all the money for these enormous projects is really going offshore. And just like World War II soldiers that were captured in Singapore, Australians are being used as the labour to build the equivalent of the railway that the Japanese wanted built, Burma. So we get a job out of it, you know, God knows what, pouring concrete or something. But all the money goes, it doesn't even stay in Australia. You know, all our tax money. We've paid $11 million to the Oven Mountain project so far in grants, right? Taxpayers' money. $11 million. If that $11 million was put towards singular households, somebody knocked on your door and said, I'll put in for you a completely off-grid system, solar, battery storage, the whole shebang, will run as well as your current, you know, plug-in system to the, you know, the grid. There'd be 550 homes that will have had their own standalone systems, not to mention the number of people employed installing them throughout Australia. Not centralised like it is now. Another place I went to was West Wyalong. West Wyalong, a dying town, an absolute dying town. Used to be a thriving rural area down on the southwest slopes, or more the western slopes. And they got a huge solar farm there. Talking to the locals, they said they came in, they squashed the farms around that were, well, you know, the farms gave up the land for these solar farms. They were built. The town thrived with the in and out, fly in, fly out labour. They're gone, and now it's dead. There's no ongoing, you know, robust industry or, you know, plan for the future. Use it up. Parks in New South Wales is going to become a dumping ground for garbage, so they can have this huge incinerator. All the garbage comes from Sydney. They burn it, and so I think it turns into gas or some bullshit. But, you know, if the technology works, that's good too. But they'd never think of putting that at Wentworthville, would they? Liverpool or Mossman. But, you know, I just cannot reconcile environmentalists like, you know, the Greens used to be, they're comos now, but what they used to be. Scientific modelling, or any modelling in business, is just modelling. It's a what-if scenario, really, based on best known data at the time, throwing a little bit of, you know, shit, this might happen or that might happen. Tell me how many volcano explosions are going to be between now and 2050, which would knock some of these calculations off the Richter scale. But anyway, you know, modelling is a tool to use in business, not the tool. That's your brain and your judgment of all the other factors, not just the scientific ones. You know, if it was just the scientific ones, we'd have built desalination plants for 10 years from 2007 or 8, when the scientist, Big Tim Plenary, said we'd have no water by 2020. Imagine that, like, we had bloody floods. People will say, oh yeah, that's all to do with, you know, climate change as well. No, it's not, it's cyclical. Anyway, modelling is used in a lot of businesses, but at the end of the day, it's not the be-all and end-all. You may recall that Albo said the $275 that we're all going to pay less for in our energy charges didn't come off. This was just before the election, or during the election. Well, the reason it didn't come off, he said, is because the modelling was wrong. The modelling and the data that we use in 2022 changed. So, you know, it just wasn't available. $275 just wasn't there. So, that's just one example, apart from getting elected, as why modelling is not decisive. I'm not disrespecting scientists. They do a bloody wonderful job, you know. And we advance because of them, and there's lots of stuff, but some good stuff, you know. Some of them are probably in Wuhan creating COVID or something. But, you know, just to turn a whole nation on its head on modelling is the equivalent of not getting a quote to have your house rewired. You're not going to just say to an electrician, get in there and rewire it and I'll pay at the end. You know, you want a few quotes, wouldn't you? You want a few ideas. Do I have to do it? What's the alternatives? You don't base it all on, oh, you know, I just want to remodel a house, remodel the wiring. So, no, absolutely no disrespect to modelling as a tool for business, or a tool to be used in making decisions, but not the tool. You know, the earth will have heated by, you know, whatever degrees, and we're all going to die, you know. We're going to have it done by then. No, we won't, because the earth's bigger than us. You're only going to see that during a flood or a fire, or anything that's natural. Doesn't matter what you plan, what you do. Nature, and always has had the last word. So I'm not saying by this that it's not a climate change argument. It's a renewable investment in infrastructure. Totally destroys our landscape, totally destroys our land, totally destroys our farmers. I mean, if you're going to throw that sort of money at foreign companies to build solar farms, we'll give half of that, don't do it, and give half of that money to farmers to keep them on the land. Keep them on the land. Find new ways to be able to keep them on the land. But, you know, in America, I think they're actually, you know, finding ways to make meat. Well, they do. So we don't need farmers really, do we? Another mad scientist thing. Anyway, draw your own conclusions. But I, for one, don't fall for all this crap. It's money, it's greed, and it's destroying people like you and I, and in our country. It's just an absolute shame. Will we ever get people to turn around and have the same views as mine? No, because that never happens. Like I don't have the same views as other people. But will we get them to listen to some reason? No. Because if you live in the city where the majority of votes are, mate, your biggest concern is avocado sandwich, a latte, and a Tesla. So you couldn't give a stuff about what we see out here, the dumping ground of Australia. You know, you're probably earning enough money to pay the taxes, but we're not getting richer as a country. As individuals, we're getting poorer by the day. And I don't care that they say they've stopped inflation. You know, they might have stopped inflation, but they haven't stopped it, you know, for living, because inflation is underlined by what it takes to make stuff and do things, and that's power and energy. And we are paying top dollar. To end this, I think we'd be far better off individualising this. If you want to give money away, give 20 grand to each household to put their own solar and battery system on their house, so they're not dependent on a grid, so you don't have to build all these wires and huge power sources. And that also creates jobs. But of course, in the city, if you're living in unit number 1, Smith Street Ride, you know, how are you going to put a solar outfit on your home unit? Maybe up to the strata to do something, but that's the conundrum, guys. And I'm glad to see that the Nats in New South Wales have gone no to net zero. It's a start. And welcome to conversation. Find my email link down below in the about section. If you want to debate anything, you know, I want to hear and end up in a big shitstorm, fine. But this little duck ain't going to fall for all that shit. So have a nice day, and I hope you don't boil to death.